Yes. So we are going to study about field experiments and quasi experiments today. And after that, we'll move on to the next method. Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Yes. The first one is field experiments. If a researcher wants to have high generalizability or to conduct studies which are not possible in laboratory settings, he or she might go to the field or the natural setting where the particular phenomenon actually exists. In other words, he or she may conduct a field experiment. For example, a researcher may want to know which method Yeah. A researcher may want to know which method would lead to better learning among students, lecture or demonstration method. For this, a researcher may prefer to conduct an experiment in the school. So yesterday, when we learned about the disadvantages of an experiment, we saw that it has low external validity. Yes, it is not much applicable to the external world because we conduct experiments in a laboratory setting, in an artificial setting. So, in order to learn the phenomena which are not actually happening in an artificial or laboratory setting, we have to go to the field and study the phenomena. Understood? So, what we do is whatever topic we are concerned with or whatever topic we are interested to learn, we select that particular topic, we select the independent and dependent variables and so on, and we go to the field. We go to the natural setting where this particular behavior or event is occurring, and we try to conduct an experiment. Okay, that is what is the field experiment explains about. And the example given here is there is a researcher who is interested to learn about the demonstration method. Here, a researcher may want to know which method would lead to better learning among students. That is a lecture or demonstration method. Just giving lectures, just the teacher just giving the basic lecture or demonstrating the process, demonstrating the topic that he or she is trying to teach. Those were the two things that the researcher wanted to learn, the effect of these two things. And what the researcher did is the researcher preferred to conduct an experiment in the school. If this was to be conducted in a laboratory setting, we have a certain number of students as participants of our study, and we might apply this particular demonstration method to them and try to teach them in some way. And in other situation, the teacher might give simple lectures and try to analyze its effect on the students. So that is not completely accurate, or the students will have they'll be conscious that they are being observed, they are being studied. The fact that they are being studied, the knowledge that they are being studied might influence their behavior. So that is a very negative factor for this particular research, right? So what the researcher does is he or she goes to the particular setting, that is school setting, and try to demonstrate or give lectures and then see its effects on the students' academic performance. Understood? So it is just a very simple thing. If the for the experiments that cannot be conducted in an artificial setting or laboratory, or for the experiments which are not really effective in the artificial or laboratory setting, what we do is we go to the natural setting and we conduct the experiment there. We go to the field and conduct the experiment there. That is field experiments. Understood? Okay. Now the next one is, before that we have, the researcher may select two groups of participants, teach one group by demonstration method and another group by the normal teaching method for some time. He or she may compare their performance at the end of the learning session. In such types of experiments, the control over relevant variables is less than what we find in laboratory experiments. Also, it is more time consuming and expensive. So this is just the explanation of what I told before. That is, one in the school setting, one group might get the demonstration method, one group might get the normal lecture method. So we are focusing on how this demonstration is effective on the academic performance. So demonstration method is our independent variable. We are giving that only to a particular group, which will be our what group? Experimental or control group?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, we are focused on the academic performance of students, which is our dependent variable. And we want to know how this demonstration method causes an effect. So we are giving a demonstration to a particular group, and the other group gets the normal lectures, not the demonstration method. So this demonstration method will be given to the experimental or the control group.
Experimental group.
Experimental group, because demonstration is our what variable here?
Independent variable.
Independent variable. Very good. Yes. So in such types of experiments, what happen is we have certain disadvantages for this also. What? The control over relevant variables is less than what we find in laboratory experiments. We learned about the control techniques. We learned about the variables to be controlled, right? So in different from the laboratory experiment, this is a natural set. This occurs in a natural setting. So it's very difficult to control those set of other variables, that is extraneous variable that is trying to affect our dependent variable. So in field experiments, one disadvantage is that it is, although it is very applicable to the real life situation because it occurs in a natural setting, although there are positives for it, there are certain negatives. One is we can't control all the factors that is going to affect our dependent variable. That is one thing. Then the other thing is it can be time consuming and expensive. If we are conducting this particular research in our own laboratory, then such expenses might be, we can cut down all those expenses, because if we have to conduct this in a school, then we have to first approach the authorities, we have to get permission from them, we have to for some researchers we have to get permission from the parents of the students, then we have to assign different lectures to try out these methods. So all those things are quite time consuming and expensive. So those are some of the disadvantages of field experiments to the usual experiments. Yes. Okay. So with that, we almost finished the field experiment. Now we have the quasi experiments. Quasi is a Latin word origin meaning as if. Okay. Here, a quasi experiment is designed a lot like a true experiment, except that in the quasi experimental design, the participants are not randomly assigned to experimental groups. Quasi experiments are employed when the researcher is interested in independent variables that cannot be randomly assigned. So yesterday I told you that I told you about certain topic, and I told you that we learned this while we learned quasi experiments. Do you remember what that was? Yes or no? No. I told you an example about the nutritional deficiency and studying its effect on children. Yes, on children's health. Do you
Yes,
remember?
ma'am.
Yes. And what happens is we told that it is quite unethical to put them to starve in order to study the nutrition deficiency. So what do? We take the children who are already nutritionally deficit, who already has nutritional deficiency, and then we compare that to the group of children who are not having nutritional deficits or malnutrition. So we are the independent variable that we are setting is malnutrition, but we can't induce it or we can't manipulate it. So what do? We already take a group that is an experimental group where we want to study the independent variables effect on the dependent variable. And since our independent variable cannot be applied or manipulated by the experimenter, we already take a group who already has this independent variable. Understood? And then we study its effect on the health, which becomes a dependent variable. And the other control group would have, would consist of the children who are not suffering from malnutrition. Understood? So quasi experiments are similar to true experiments, except for the fact that the experimenter cannot manipulate the independent variable. Another example given here is in your textbook, there is an example about natural disaster. That is, certain children lose their parents in an earthquake. And that's if the effect of that particular fact on his or her mental health or his or her physical health or his or her any other factor as a dependent variable we study. So can we induce the earthquake and make the children to lose their parents?
No.
No, that is not at all feasible, not practical in nature. So what do? We already take an experimental group. We already take certain number of children who has already lost their parents in an earthquake. And they form our experimental group. And we compare them to the children who hasn't lost their parents in an earthquake. That is how a quasi-experiment is conducted. Yes, clear? Okay. Yes, in such cases, the independent variable is selected rather than varied or manipulated by the experimenter. So independent variable is selected, which means we form the experimental group with that particular variable, in which we are interested to learn the effects on the dependent variable. Understood? Okay, so that's all about our experimental method. I'll just give an overview. Yes, experimental method, we study the cause-effect relationship, and the cause will be the independent variable. The effect will be the dependent variable. Cause is something that can be manipulated by the experimenter, and because of this manipulation, there will be some effect on the dependent variable, which is our effect. Then the concept of variable, anything that changes, it can be measured, that is known as a variable. And we have both qualitative as well as quantitative things. Then variables are of many types. Any object cannot be called as a variable, but we can find certain features of it which can be considered as a variable. Then we studied about dependent and independent variable. Then experimental and control groups. Experimental group is the group which will get the independent variable, that is the manipulation, okay, by the experimenter or researcher. Then we learned about 3 variables that are likely to affect our particular dependent variable. Then we studied how to control them using 5 techniques. Which are the 5 techniques? Who will tell me? Meghna?
Eliminate.
Elimination. Then
Constant.
keeping it constant. It's not a
Matching.
method. Just write it as keeping the other factors constant. Okay. In order for you to notice it and remember it fast, that's why I've put it on bold. Yes. Then next one.
Matching.
Matching.
Counterbalancing.
Counterbalancing and
Random assignment.
random assignment. Then we studied about the advantages and disadvantages. Then we studied about field experiments and quasi-experiments. Any doubts about the experimental method? You will have doubts by Monday or Tuesday. So ask me if you have. Okay. Study these portions and come. The next method is correlational method or correlational research. Write down. So the first method that we learned was observational method. The second method that we learned was experimental method. And the third one is correlational method or correlational research. Okay, here what happens is this particular method or this particular research tries to find a relationship between two variables for prediction purposes. So you might ask me, in experimental method also we studied a cause-effect relationship, right? Yes, but here what happens is we don't find the cause and effect relationship. We just find if there is a relationship between two things, between two variables. That is correlation. From the name itself, you can understand correlation means is there any relationship between each other. We are not finding what kind of relationship it is. We are just finding is there a relationship or are they associated? Are they related in some manner? That is found out by the method called correlational research or correlation method. And they are mainly used for prediction purposes. Here, you do not manipulate any variable. That is its main difference from the experimental method. Please note down that in your lecture notes. We don't manipulate any variable in correlation research, but in experimental method, we do manipulate the variable, and that variable is called
Independent variable.
Independent variable. Now, instead you simply find out the relationship between the two variables to determine whether they are associated or covary or not. So we are interested to learn the correlation between two variables. We take the two variables and we try to find whether they are related or not, or if they co-vary. Co-vary means do they vary together? Correlation means are they is there any relationship between each other? Co-vary means do they vary together? Do they change together? So that is what we learn in correlation research. A correlation has two qualities, that is direction as well as strength. Which means I'll explain this when we come to the next slide. Okay, the strength and direction of the relationship between the two variables is represented by a number called correlation coefficient. So when we do this correlation analysis or we test the correlation between two variables, the result that we get is based on a particular number. This particular number varies from +1 to -1, which also includes 0. So the value of correlation coefficient varies from -1 to +1 through 0, which means 0 is also included. And the correlation coefficient, what is it? It is a number through which the correlation between two variables is explained. And yes, I told you a correlation has two qualities, which is direction as well as strength. So here in +1.0, in that we have the positive sign, right? That sign indicates its direction. And the number, the 1, indicates its strength. So when we come to -1.0, the negative part indicates its strength. And the 1.0, that indicates its, negative part, the minus sign indicates its direction, and 1.0 indicates its strength. That is how we read a correlation coefficient. And if suppose the correlation coefficient is -0.5, so negative part, the minus sign indicates its direction, means it is negative in nature, and the strength is 0.5. Understood? Okay. We have a picture, yes. Correlation coefficient shows strength and direction of correlation. So the values of the correlation coefficient varies from -1 to +1, and we have a 0 in the middle part. And from 0, if this goes towards the -1, then the negative correlation is increasing. That is, it becomes from weak to strong. And on the positive side, it goes from weak to strong, same thing. But what happens is positive correlation occurs. And we'll see what positive and negative correlations are. We have mainly three types of correlation. One is positive correlation, second one is negative correlation, and the third one is zero correlation. Okay. Yes, positive correlation. As the value of one variable increases, the value of other variable will also increase, which means we consider two variables x and y. If x goes up, then y also goes up. If x comes down, then y also comes down. Have you learned about the phenomena like directly proportionality?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, in that what happens? When one thing increases, the other thing
Also increases.
increases. And when one thing decreases, the other thing also decreases.
Increases.
Similarly, in positive correlation, suppose if we find that A and B are correlated, positively correlated, with a value of say point, uh, 0.8. It'll be 0.8 or 0.85 or something. And that is a positive correlation. I didn't tell you that negative, the value is negative 0.8. It is positive 0.8. So if we get a correlation coefficient of, is iron in our class? No, right? Yes. So what was I talking about? Yes, the value. The if I give a correlation coefficient of value positive, that is plus 0.85, then that means that there is a strong positive correlation between these A and B. So the positive sign before the correlation coefficient indicates that it is positive correlation. And how do we decide if it is a strong or weak correlation? We look at the strength. Okay. The sign indicates the direction and the number indicates the strength. So since this is 0.85, which is very close in the number line, I'll show you. See here, above 0.5, the value that we considered is 0.85. So that comes somewhere here, right? So that will be a strong positive correlation. And if it is same number with the negative sign, then it will be a strong negative correlation. Consider another value like 0.000001 as the correlation coefficient. That will be very weak, very close to weak positive correlation. And in some researches, we consider it as zero correlation itself. Okay. Yes. So again, coming back to positive correlation. So the concept is okay, right? As one variable increases, the other increases. As the one variable decreases, the other variable also decreases. And we'll see some of the examples here. Yes. In a study, it was found that as smoking increases, alcohol drinking also increases. So there were a set of participants and we tried to study the correlation between smoking and alcohol consumption. And what happened there is we found out that alcohol drinking as well as smoking was correlated to each other. They were positively correlated, which means when smoking increased, alcohol drinking also increased. If smoking was decreased, alcohol drinking was also decreased. Understood? Then another another example, decrease in self-confidence was related to decrease in academic performance. That is quite obvious example, right? when the self-confidence of people are decreased, then it leads to negative performance, decrease in performance. Okay, clear? Positive correlation, is it clear? I can't see all of you. What happened? Yes. Is it clear? Ashish, positive correlation, is it clear? Okay. Grishma?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we move on to negative correlation. So in this case, as the value of one variable increases, the other one will decrease. Just like the negative proportionality, the direct proportionality, and we have the inverse one, right? And this is similar to that one. So when we consider two variables x and y, if x goes up, then y comes down. If y goes up, then x comes down. That is negative correlation. And examples are study time and play time. When you put in more time in studying something, then the time left out for playing will decrease. Yes. And similarly, when you give more time for playing, then your time spent, the amount of hours or minutes spent for studying would directly go down, decrease, right? Yes or no? Yes. And another example is altitude and temperature. Altitude is increase in heights. When we go to hill stations and all, the temperature drops, right? When we go to Uti, Munnar, Idukki and all, the temperature drops. So increase in height means decrease in temperature, or increase in temperature means decrease in height, like that. It is not a cause effect thing. There is a relationship between these two, and we try to find if it is positive or negative in nature. That is the only thing we are finding in correlation, and not cause effect relationship. You will confuse it with the experimental method, the cause effect thing. But make sure that when you write your examples, the cause effect relationship is not much focused. Okay, cause effect relationships, most of them comes only in experimental method. Even if in correlation we study, suppose we find out that x and y are correlated in nature, and later we can do some other test or experiments to find out in what way they are related. Yesterday I told you about therapy and depression. Yes, we considered an example about therapy and depression. And there what happens is, when we are doing an experiment, we try to find out how the induction of therapy, that is providing therapy to the patients, causes an effect in the depression. How depression is improved or decreased after the application of this particular therapy. But in case of correlation, what do we learn? We take these two variables, which is therapy as well as depression, and we try to find if there is a relationship between these two. That is the only thing that we are finding. And if we, after the after the correlation research, we find out that these two variables are related in nature. They have some form of correlation, and probably they are supposed to give us negative correlation, because increase in therapy should actually decrease depression, decrease our sickness, right? Yes, more amount of medicine or more amount of treatment should lead to the decrease in our sickness or illness or disorder or whatever it is. So it would be probably a negative correlation. And when we find a correlation, what we do is it is not necessary that we do, but we can do another test or another experiment to find out the cause-effect relationship. If this has caused this, we can find that using the other methods. Understood? Yes. And the last one is about zero correlation. So in the number line, we saw the 3 points mark, that is 3 main points mark, which is on one end we had what value, Grishma? Grishma? On the number line, on one end, what value did we have? Can't you hear me, Grishma? No? Elvina, can you tell me?
Minus 1.020 and 02 plus 1.0.
Okay, she's answered more than what I wanted. I asked you about one end and you're telling me about the whole number. Like, okay, that's okay. My job is much easier. Okay, yeah. Uh, so on one end we had negative one, on the other end we had positive one, and on the middle part we had 0. So negative one we dealt with that just now, that is negative correlation. The other part was the positive correlation, that is positive one, and the middle part we had 0 correlation. So that is all about this particular thing, that is 0 correlation. In this type, no correlation exists between the two variables. Generally, it is difficult to find 0 correlation, but the correlations found may be close to 0. Example 0.2 or 0.3. There's negative 0.2 or positive 0.3. This indicates that no significant relationship exists between the two variables, or the two variables are unrelated. So when we get a 0 correlation, then we can conclude that these two variables that we are studying are not correlated, or they are not much related to each other. Yes. And example is amount of tea drunk and intelligence. Do you think the amount of tea that we consume every day and intelligence are affected? I mean, are they related?
No.
No. Okay. So in basic common sense, we can tell it like that, but I think nobody has tested it, so I'm not too sure to confirm it. Anyways, for our study purpose, we use this example, that is amount of tea drunk and intelligence. So when we consider the correlation between the amount of tea drunk as well as the intelligence, we are probable to get a what value?
0.
0 value or very close to 0. Then we conclude that there is 0 correlation among the amount of tea drunk as well as intelligence. So they are the correlation that we have observed here is 0 correlation. Understood? Yes. This correlation method much better than the experimental one. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I told you, right? Experimental method is quite complicated in nature. There are so many terms and so many things to understand in depth, but correlation is far easier than that. So that's all about the correlation method. So what all should you remember in this? Yes, the main thing is what does it try to learn? That is the relationship between two variables. Then the correlation coefficient, that term should be mentioned, and the value of the correlation coefficient ranges from positive 1 or the negative 1 to positive 1 through 0, which means it includes 0 also. And we studied the, if you can draw this number line to enhance your answer. Then positive correlation we studied, negative correlation we studied, 0 correlation we studied with the examples. Are the examples clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. Any doubts in this particular method?
Ma'am, for examples of correlation research, can we write any of the examples of 0 or positive or negative correlation?
Yes, yes. Generally, if I ask a question regarding, write a note on correlation method and give examples, then you can write anything that you want. But if I specifically ask you these three correlations and then give examples, then you'll have to specify. Okay. So that's all about this particular method. Now, in the next class we have in the afternoon, we'll deal with the another method called survey or research, and it's quite common. I know you're aware of the survey method. What all kind of surveys have you been known about? Yes, Aishwarya, tell me one.
Population survey.
Population survey, yes. Elvina?
Sample survey.
Sample on what?
Service can be like sample, no, taking sample like census.
Census. Okay. Then, Amal, tell me.
Um, uh,
Any surveys that you have heard of, or you have read of, or you saw pictures of? You might have observed many pie charts. You might have seen several data regarding surveys in newspaper.
about
Yes,
the sale of products, surveys will be
sale
conducted.
of products. Yes, very good. Then Ashish. Ashish, do you have an example?
Kids survey on
Survey on what?
10 children.
Sorry, I can't hear you. What?
Child
No, dear, your voice is breaking. Yes, Meghna, one example.
From panchayats, they will come and ask us.
Okay, fine. So you're familiar with the method, and we'll wind up today's session. Then we'll meet in the afternoon. Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
you.
ma'am.
Yes.